It's usually brushed aside as conspiracy theory, and there are some outlandish allegations out there, but every now and then you get something more solid about how the Freemasons operate in Britain. The information in question relates to a 2002 secret Metropolitan Police report called Operation Tiberius that's been leaked to the press. It found that a secret network of Freemasons inside the police have been used by organised crime gangs to corrupt the criminal justice system.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint. Okay, gunpoint, 132 in Bush, covers code 3. Being sent. 251410, transmit on tag 2. Okay, we'll still send it code 3.
It is a great day for New York City because I am proud to announce that I am appointing Bill Bratton as the next police commissioner of the city of New York. The fact is that over an extraordinary career, Bill Bratton has proven that you can fight crime effectively and bring police and community together.
And new developments this morning in the investigation into the death of actor Philip Seymour Hoffman. Vanita Nair is here with how police made several arrests in a raid last night. Vanita, good morning.
Good morning. Officers recovered bags of heroin and arrested 4 people overnight, all of whom had possession charges in the past. The NYPD told us it is investigating whether there is any connection between the 4 people and the drugs found at Hoffman's apartment.
And now remember, James Brown's stepson was a big dude. So when he said that he knew this, he was going to expose it. When he was coming home one night, they shot him up like a dog. But he had enough strength to get back in his car to drive to the hospital. He died in the parking lot of the hospital. And what did they do to James Brown's son? They put $4 grand in his pocket. Because 4 represent ritual with the elites letting them know the hit has been done. Do y'all understand what's going on here?
Good morning. Officers recovered bags of heroin and arrested 4 people overnight, all of whom had possession charges in the past. The NYPD told us it is investigating whether there is any connection between the 4 people and the drugs found at Hoffman's apartment.
Were LAPD officers involved in the murder of rap superstar Christopher Wallace, also known as Notorious B.I.G.? And if so, did the LAPD try to cover it up?
Wilshire in Fairfax when he was riding in the passenger seat of a Chevy Suburban in this lane. Witnesses say a black Chevy Impala pulled up right next to him, and a lone gunman in the driver's seat rolled down the window, opened fire, and then calmly drove away.
8 years later, in 2005, a civil trial brought by the Wallace family against the city exposed evidence the LAPD failed to produce that suggests 2 rogue police officers, David Mack and Rafael Perez, while not fitting the description of the gunman, may have been involved in the murder of the rapper also known as Biggie Smalls. This potentially explosive evidence involves an alleged conversation between former LAPD officer Rafael Perez and Perez's cellmate in the LA County Jail. Months after the Notorious B.I.G. murder, officers Mack and Perez were convicted for unrelated crimes. Mack for bank robbery, Perez for stealing cocaine and other serious felonies. According to this court record revealed now for the first time, Perez's cellmate told investigators Perez and Mack were involved in death row records. Perez got involved in death row through Mack. They went to all their parties and stuff, the inmate testified. Poole says in this racially charged environment, the last thing the city wanted was a scandal involving the possibility that sworn minority officers could be involved in the assassination of a superstar rap artist.
The 500-page police surveillance book was rumored as having been used as a law enforcement information sharing tool that was passed around various police departments, including Pittsburgh, Miami, Denver, and Los Angeles. The book contains a number of different kinds of profile pages. The two most common are the hider profile page and the record label profile page. The hider profile pages usually contain a mugshot, personal information such as a social security number, addresses, along with FBI case numbers, NYSID numbers, and a listing of criminal charges filed. Hider investigates drug trafficking. Few of those profiled in the book have drug offenses listed on their hider profile sheet. The record label profile pages are typically more extensive. They contain home addresses, lists of vehicles registered to the artist, frequented locations, and associates. The book groups artists together by their record labels or crews, which are listed prominently at the top of each page. In the cases of some, there is even more extensive surveillance information.
We go into the Grammy party, some minivan with about 4 to 6 cops was in it. What's up, Busta Rhymes? I just wanted you to know that we're gonna be, if you see a little car in your rearview mirror, whenever you're moving around for the next couple of weeks, we just want you to know that it's us and we're gonna be following you. I said, I don't want y'all to be following me because y'all ain't on my payroll. So you ain't really following me to protect me, you following me to investigate me. I got out the car, I went down in the train station, them dudes got out their car and walked with me into the train station. And I said, I'm waiting on the train. You wanna follow me? Cool, we gonna ride on the train all the way to wherever I feel like going. And y'all just come follow me then.
Today it might be them, tomorrow it might be you.
To make matters more complex, both Anthony Miranda and Eric Adams, veteran NYPD officers, claim they themselves were put under surveillance by the department.
We don't know the extent of the surveillance. We don't know if they actually tapped our phones, but they did monitor our phone records. They did look into who we spoke to. They did follow us.
The standard is so low now that they can surveil anybody they want to and justify it. And then later on say, oh, I'm sorry. But what are you sorry about exactly? Taking pictures of my wife, taking pictures of my kid, taking pictures of my babysitter? What part of that are you sorry about?
For nearly a decade, the CIA and the New York City Police Department have teamed up to evade the laws and infiltrate groups, mostly Arab American, nearly all law-abiding, on the pretext of counterterrorism necessity. That's the result of a startling investigation conducted by and reported today by the Associated Press. In the fourth story of the countdown, a mini CIA operating inside the NYPD, and civil liberties and laws against racial or religious profiling be damned. Using community mapping techniques, police with specific ethnic backgrounds known as rakers monitor bookstores, bars, cafes. Pakistani-American officers would infiltrate Pakistani neighborhoods. Arab officers would focus on Arab neighborhoods. Within the department, these officers became known as, quote, the demographic unit. Police also pressured locals to become informants or, quote, mosque crawlers with directives to monitor religious sermons. Cab drivers and food cart vendors were routinely spied upon. This under the direction of the CIA, which is forbidden by law to spy domestically, even though here it would have been doing exactly that. As part of the overall effort, the NYPD also runs intelligence division offices in 8 countries outside the U.S., gathering information on terrorism in an effort to get ahead of any threat to New York.
As the next police commissioner of the city of New York, the goals will be quite simple: to maintain the low crime rates that New Yorkers have come to expect and have a right to expect, to ensure that the city does everything in its power and in a collaborative relationship with all of the various other agencies that are responsible for the issue of terrorism.
Good afternoon, I'm Mary Calvi.
And I'm Rob Morrison. We begin with breaking news, an almost unbelievable story. A New York City police officer has been arrested in a failed plot to kidnap dozens of women, cook them, and then eat them.
The FBI confirming the arrest this morning. CBS This Morning senior correspondent John Miller has been working on this story and is here with details on the accused cannibal cop. John.
So, as you have already framed it, this is a bizarre story, and as we get deeper into it, it almost gets more bizarre. What we know right now was we have an officer from the 26th precinct here in East Harlem named Gilberto Valle III. He's charged in a conspiracy to commit kidnappings and allegedly working at the behest of one or more people who were cannibals. Now, He lives in Forest Hills. He allegedly used NYPD computers to get information on a list of victims. He had this database, according to a federal complaint, that listed over 100 women, details, addresses, photographs. He was in contact with a number of them, drove to Maryland to meet with one, had lunch with another in Manhattan. But it's interesting when you look at in the chat room conversations with the people who were allegedly paying him for this, up to $5,000 for a kidnapping. He says in one of these discussions, "I was thinking of tying her body into some kind of apparatus to cook her over a low, here, keep her alive as long as possible." In another discussion, "Her days are numbered. She does look tasty, doesn't she?" And these conversations were going on, that these co-conspirators identified this police officer as a third, that he would be able, through law enforcement databases, DMV records, criminal records, other databases, to be able to zero in on victims they were interested in by getting their names, their addresses, and then contacting some of them.
Yeah. All right. John Miller, thank you very much.
Like we said at the beginning, almost unbelievable.
Why is it that no one knows this?
Because there's Satanists in the police force and also in the government, the army.
Safety Director Allison Baker fired. The plan, Navarro says, Santiago wanted to plant a stolen gun and cocaine in Baker's car. Claim an anonymous tip came in and arrest Allison Baker.
This person that claims to be an honest person, a sworn law enforcement to serve the citizens of Colombia, was planning to put a stolen pistol, in specifics, Jody. He didn't just tell me a gun. He told me, Dave, it must be a stolen gun. And he also said cocaine. And I asked him that question, why cocaine, Chief? Nobody would believe that Mr. Allison Baker would use
Right now, detectives are upstairs trying to sort out fact from fiction. They're not confirming anything that the suspect's best friend told us, but an organization called the National Association for Intelligence Officers says the suspect was the president of the Houston branch. A dramatic police chase through Houston ends with HPD shooting the driver of a brand new Jeep Commander. 45 minutes earlier, cops had pulled him over for speeding. For some reason, the driver sped away after police discovered he had a license to carry a concealed weapon. He finally came to a stop along the feeder road of the West Loop.
One of the officers saw, on the passenger side, saw the suspect reach down and make an obvious and overt movement underneath the seat. Fearing for his safety, he fired the weapon one time.
A second officer also fired, though it's not clear how many times the driver was shot. He died on the way to the hospital, dressed in a suit.
I mean, he was here literally every day for a while.
Best friend Alan Helfman says he met the driver a dozen years ago when he showed up to buy a car from his River Oaks Chrysler dealership. The two became fast friends, bonding over a shared love of cars and law enforcement.
He thought he was one of them, you know, or maybe one of them with a little higher pecking order.
You see, Helfman says the suspect in the police chase was a national intelligence officer who spoke 7 languages and often showed up at law enforcement fundraisers, though never allowed himself to be photographed. The Jeep he was driving is registered to something called the National Security Command Center.
At any one time, he's got 3 or 4, a shotgun, 2 guns on him, a knife. I mean...
Did he carry a gun when he was
Oh, sure, always, everywhere. You bet.
Police found 3 weapons in the Jeep. They say one was within reach of the suspect when officers shot him.
I would like to believe he wouldn't have tried to shoot somebody. That's not his mentality.
Combined, the officers who shot the suspect have nearly 40 years of experience. Nearly 40 years of experience.
Because 4 represent ritual, indeed, with the elites letting them know the hit has been done.
Combined, the officers who shot the suspect have nearly 40 years of experience. HPD's Internal Affairs and Homicide Divisions are investigating along with the Harris County District Attorney's Office. We're live near downtown tonight. I'm Sally McDonald, Fox 26 News.
132 in Bush. I've got him at gunpoint. Okay, gunpoint 132 in Bush. Covers code 3. Being sent. 2514 can transmit on tag 2. Okay, we'll still send a code 3.